Mogul podcast. Excuse my heavy breathing. I'm just trying to gather my thoughts here. Um, on this episode, I'm going to be by myself because it's episode 11, and I just wanted to reflect on where I started just about 2 months ago to where I am now, and I guess refining the purpose of this podcast. That's what I'll be doing. Yeah, let me just catch my breath because so I have this thing where I speak extremely fast sometimes, in the sense that there's a lot going on in my mind and I'm trying to get so much out that I speak so fast that I lose my breath. And in me losing my breath, I guess that kind of goes with my asthma. I don't know. But in most instances, I have to just pause and just, slow things down. I don't know where I'm rushing to. I don't know where my mind is rushing to, but it happens. I don't even know if that's a valid explanation, but it happens. That's what it is. So I was supposed to have a guest for this episode, and then a lot just happened in the past week where schedules were just muddled up between my guest and I, and there was just a lot going on, emotions all over the place for me personally. And I just figured, instead of me moving dates with her for this particular episode, let me just do this on my own, because I realized there are a few things I had to, you know, rediscover, go through by myself before I can just continue having other people on the episode. And I wanted to just reflect on the past 10 episodes as to how I felt about them, how I've overcome certain things, and what I had to deal with in between. To be honest, certain episodes I was not, on the days that we shot them, I was not in the space to shoot them. I did not feel worthy in certain instances. I did not feel ready. There are days where I woke up and I felt like I don't want to do this anymore, or I don't want to be here. And in not wanting to be here, that means not live, essentially. And that thought was so, it was more powerful, or I had a strong feeling of that last week, Monday, where I woke up and I had to go to work, but I didn't feel like I had anything to give. I didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel like I wanted to be here. I did not feel complete. I felt like I was in a dark space. And I just stood in the shower and I cried. And I didn't know what I was crying about. And I guess it's just one of those days where you, every day you just keep moving and moving and going and growing, and never really take a beat to just, deal with the emotions. So certain days it just comes out and you don't know what it is, why, where it comes from, and all that stuff. So I was dealing with that last week, Monday, and I had to put myself in a good space so that I can go to work and be good at work and not carry this negative energy. So, how I got out of that in that moment, I just had to blast music, right? And for me, music is my healing, my medicine, rather. Music is my medicine. Gospel, R&B, pop, whatever it is. And in that day, I was deep in your Christina Aguilera's and Britney Spears, the old ones, because it just put me in a very vibrant, and I got to feel like a kid again, because I was remembering how I grew up in this music and how carefree and happy I was. So that's the feeling that I wanted in that moment. So those are the doses that I went for. And then that passes. What do you do then? How do you then maintain that positive energy? And for me, I realized it's just having conversations with the right people and allowing yourself to really not sit with your thoughts and your feelings. Because in that moment, in that morning, my sister could see something is not right. And she asked me, what's wrong? And I said, nothing. Because I it's easy for me to sit and listen to another person as to what they're going through and how I can help them. But if I had to express myself, it's a lot harder, because I'm just like, it's too much. I don't want to talk about it right now. I'm not in the space to share, or even if I wanted to, I'm not ready right now, or I feel like you feel weak. Yes, that's the easy way of putting it. I felt weak. I felt if I were to express exactly how I was feeling, it would put me, I wouldn't say a compromising space, but it just forces you to deal with things, and that's one thing you learn in therapy, that you have to talk about your stuff. You have to, day by day. It's not something that you're going to heal from once. So it doesn't mean because I spoke about these issues at one point in therapy that I'm healed and I'm great and we can move on. When they resurface, what do you do? How do you manage those feelings and those thoughts, and how do you overcome them? And my therapist was not available, so I went to a friend, and we had the realest conversations, and I cherish this person so much because she helped me realize, in me wanting to be vulnerable, I cannot be selective of what I want to be vulnerable about, because you there ends up not being any context, I guess. And aside from context, I think you are, or I am, let me not do this thing, I am robbing myself of completely healing from my traumas. And I mean, even if some of them are not like the deepest or most hectic traumas, but I'm robbing myself of not healing from those. I'm robbing myself of not being truthful, not only with myself, but with the people around me. Because, like I said, for me, it's easier to just keep quiet and keep going, and have my silent cries by myself. But that in itself, in alone, is not healthy. So she encouraged me to watch the series called A Million Little Things, right? So I had seen the series, but I was like, ah, it looks, I don't know what I felt like it looked like. I don't know, it felt like it looked too deep, or I was just not interested in it, right? And she told me about it, and she gave me the context around it, and immediately I went and I watched it. And in summary, she was just describing it as, it's a group of friends, and they're like best of friends. One of them commits suicide, and in the process of it, the other one just realizes they don't have cancer anymore. So in being in remission and being healed, this person decides they want to go study psychology further, and they start a podcast in the process, and so in that brief summary, it was like somewhat of a 5-minute summary. Automatically my thinking is it's a group of women, because also group of friends that go through turmoil or suicide or whatnot. For some reason, automatically you think like it's women. When you think breast cancer, you think, well, not specifically breast cancer, but yes, when you think cancer, predominantly you think women. And I was so wrong in it, because when I watched it, I realized it's a group of guys. Yes, it's guys with their wives, but predominantly the people that are going through it the most were the guys. Not the point here, but anyway. So this individual goes further to study psychology, starts their podcast, and in that, she also learns that vulnerability is not about what you only choose to say, but it's being honest in your day to day as well. And that is one of the things that I was afraid of sharing or engaging in, because I didn't want people to be that involved in my life. But you realize that vulnerability and healing is not necessarily about people being involved in your life, but it's about what you are freeing yourself of. Whether 5 people know, 10, 100, it doesn't matter. What are you freeing yourself of? Because you can't just free or heal yourself in your mind. You can't just do that by only writing, but speaking of it and doing activities or something that will help you overcome those things it's very important. So I'm still watching. I'm on season 2 somewhere. I'm still watching it. It's very, very interesting, and there's a lot of learning from it. It's very deep. It's very deep, and it's a tumultuous relationship that these friends have, and the glue that kept them together is now gone. The guy that committed suicide, but they are learning to make it work without him. And in that, you realize how important his presence is still, because in his struggle times, this one will remember, okay, this guy would do this. And this one will remember, okay, this is how he would handle it. And that is what brought them together and what strengthened their family bond and friendship, etc. So, and then I got to realize that, man, sometimes in you, and I don't know if this shows up in insecurities or how, but sometimes you feel like it's easier for me to keep quiet and just sit here. But what you're doing is just making matters worse, because in your silence, you are robbing yourself and possibly the next person of being honest about your feelings, of being honest about what you're going through and what you potentially did not like that they did, or vice versa. You know, we're robbing ourselves of having genuine and real conversations that could save us at the end of the day. And I think that's what healing is. I can't keep saying I'm healing, but I'm not necessarily doing the right work, you know. And in the past episodes, I got to learn a lot from my friends. I got to learn that your support system is there. You're just not, excuse me, you're just potentially not trusting them enough, or you're not trusting yourself, or giving yourself the benefit of the doubt that whatever you're going through, if you speak to one of your friends or somebody, they can help you, and realizing that we all need help. You know, I watched a podcast yesterday, The Roommates, and what's this lady's name? Pope. Rosalind? Is it Rosalind? Something Pope, I forgot her name. And she was talking about how, I just lost my train of thought. Pause. I'm trying to remember now. Anyway, moving on. The purpose of this particular episode and reflecting is not really to even, I don't want to dwell on it too much, right? And it's just in me reflecting, it's learning on what to do better in the upcoming episodes. So I've got a few friends who have said, why are your episodes so long? And it's not that they're just long, it's what you choose to take from it, or if you want to make the time to sit and listen to it, you know. And I got to a space where I started comparing myself to other podcasters, and I'm being genuine here because these are real thoughts that, you know, go on in my head. Where am I not worthy of having an episode that is an hour 20 something minutes that you could just sit and watch? Or do you just not consume content that is that long? You know, I found myself wanting to shorten my episodes simply because of the one or two comments that I got that, oh, your episodes are too long. And I'm not too sure if it's complaining, or do you just not have the time? If you don't have the time, that's fine. Well, actually, no, because we're on Spotify now and you can listen to it in your car, you know. I had some positive feedback of obviously correcting the sound and whatnot. I just started, and I appreciate those comments. At the same time, I'm aware of them and they will be fixed with time. I don't want to put myself under pressure to now, oh, I have to get the perfect sound set or mics, and I'll get there. You know, at this point, it's just the beginning of this amazing journey of mine that I want to turn into, I want to continue building into us having conversations with regular people that go through regular shit, and how do we overcome it, because we all deal with things differently, we all overcome things differently. And you know, it's very important to share that, and that's what you get in that hour 25 minutes that you're crying about. Because for me, there's very important parts, no matter how big or small, that I just can't cut out, or I don't want to cut out. I even thought of maybe making it a two-part episode, but that feels like a stretch. So I'm sorry if 1 hour 25 or almost 2 hours is too long for you. Hopefully we'll figure something out for those individuals in the future, but for now, it is what it is, babes. I'm doing my best. We're doing my best. We are doing our best. Yes. But yeah, and the other thing that I wanted to touch on is just potentially the topics that we're going to share on in future and what I've been going through that I know certain people go through. I mean, we still go through body shaming. A few weeks ago, I had, I wouldn't say it was a horrible experience, but I didn't enjoy it that much, where I was catching up with family members via video call. And before they could even greet, most of them all I could say is like, oh, you're so big. Oh, you're so round. Your face is so big. Oh, your thigh. What is it? Your arm is as big as my thigh, whatever, and you laugh it off and brush it off and just try and find positivity in you, how you look, how you carry yourself. But certain times it becomes too heavy because those thoughts fester in your mind. I, without realizing, I had those thoughts stuck in my head on repeat for over a week, where I would catch myself repeating what was said to somebody else, so that another family member or friend, so that someone can tell me, oh, no, no, you're fat, you're not fat, you're fine, leave these people, they're not, they don't know what they're talking about. And I realized two things in me doing that. I was seeking to be validated. I was seeking to be enabled in my thoughts and my feelings and how I was approaching them or interacting with their responses. And those two things for me are kind of a bit toxic because you become dependent on that. In a way, you become a people pleaser. When you are enabled, it means almost whatever you say or do is correct, and that's not right. That's absolutely wrong. In that, I am an enabler myself, so I know how that looks like or how it goes, and that's one thing that needs to be corrected. In being validated, you don't feel enough until someone tells you that, oh my god, you did great, oh my god, you look great, oh my goodness, this is so amazing. And if you don't hear those things, you feel like something is wrong. You're not doing the right stuff. You're not on the right path. And that is how I felt. Well, I spoke about this in the first episode, and I was like, I need to learn to not gravitate to that, because part of me not being, ooh, I'm hungry, so I'm crying. Part of me, part of me not being um or wanting that validation is also because, so in the beginning I had said, um, I was supported by a lot of people, and at some point it will happen that that fades away. And what I did wrong is that when the support and the cheering would die out, I would kind of stop doing what I'm doing, or I wouldn't feel that secure in the things that I was doing. So I had to be so aware of that in the beginning of this journey, that I do not stop, because I don't want to be a quitter. I don't want to be a quitter, and I don't want to do things simply because I am pushed by others. I want to be able to push myself. And in that being said, when I was talking to my friend the other day, she played this podcast for me by Jay Shetty. Um, what's his podcast called? On Purpose. His podcast called On Purpose. So we listened to one of them, and he was essentially talking about individuals who are people pleasers and are enablers and vice versa. And essentially, I am that person, not was. I am, and I want to outgrow or unlearn being that person, where I'll say yes to almost everything. And when I say no, I feel guilty. And in my guilt, I sit with your disappointment. And that is not even on you, that's on me, because I don't know how to separate those feelings and just say, no, I have the right to say no. I have the right to not want to do this for you if it is in the moment not serving me, or just serving you, or whatever the case is, or it is enabling your feelings, your experience, or whatever the case is. And it was so powerful to hear, and I had to, not had to, I now have to figure out how to get out of that space without also being rude, being nasty to people, and just being content with the decisions that I make and be happy. And she told me one thing, that in saying no, there's no need to be rude, or whatever the case is. You just say, thank you for this, or however this conversation is going with your situation is acknowledge what the person is requesting and just say, unfortunately, I cannot help you because of one, two, three. And the because is not that you have to give an explanation. It's just you stating a simple fact of why you're not doing that. You're not justifying anything, you're not defending anything, you know. And the importance of that is your tone, your approach, and what I guess what you do after with that, you know. So it was a great lesson for me, and also realizing that I like being alone. I really like being alone. And so my sister's back from home, right? She's back from Bloom, and I realized that in her being back, I part of me that grew kind of also took a back seat because I was getting into the flow of us being together again. And we'll talk about this. I'll feature her in an episode and we'll talk about this whole thing of being a twin, doing everything together. People always expecting us to be together. If I'm at one place and she's not there, it's like, oh, where's your sister? Where's Lee? Whatnot. And I mean, at times it can be very frustrating, but it's not people's fault, because we taught you guys, or we taught our friends and everyone else around us that we're always together, we're always doing things together. So it's just a case of approach, right? And for me at this point, I want to discover who I am by myself. And I believe she's doing that as well, without us, you know, kind of stepping on each other's toes or having to validate and enable one another, because that's another thing that we did. And that's another thing that my sister does a lot for me, you know, especially when it comes to my work. I'm a makeup artist. I do a lot of things: makeup artist, event planner, you know, on and on and on. The list just keeps adding because I like learning, I like discovering new things, I like to use the creative side of my brain or whatever. And I always go to her, I'm like, did I do that correctly? Was that nice? Does that look good? And she's always like, you're doing well, you're good, and you know. So I now need to learn how to do all those things without her being in my ear to validate me, because that in itself is, it's not a toxic trait, but it's codependency on another level, you know, because it's like you can't do anything without this person next to you, without this person telling you, you're good at it, or you did great, or no, change there, you know. So I need to now learn to listen to my own voice. I need to learn to understand and believe that my decision and my thoughts are enough and they are correct. I don't need the next person to come tell me that, oh no, yeah, 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 you need to change that, or that doesn't work. Because for the most time, for the longest time, that's what I had been doing. I didn't feel like my ideas were good enough until somebody else had to validate them. And that is my fault, you know. And I have to now look at where that comes from. How do I heal it? And how do I overcome it? So yes, like I said, I like being alone because um, it's a great change of scenery, and it's a great way of discovering exactly who I am outside of my sister, outside of my parents, outside of my friends. Literally, when you sit by yourself, it's the most difficult thing ever. It's very difficult, but it's beautiful as well, because in whatever's coming in your future, you are able to willingly and openly say no to certain things and yes to certain things, and know where you want, what path you want to navigate for yourself. So that's something else that I want to discuss. And yeah, I don't want to take too much of y'all's time in this video. It's just, yeah, I just wanted to, I guess, be more honest, and be more honest with myself than anything else, of where I am exactly. Certain days are not that beautiful, they're not that great, but the days that are, the days that are amazing, they literally surpass these negative ones. And I hope to get to a place where every day I wake up and I genuinely look forward to the day. I look forward to achieving something. I look forward to, you know, making myself happy and making the next person happy. One of my biggest struggles, and I don't, I don't want to put a label on it, but it's possibly part of it. I'm not sure. A few years ago, I was diagnosed with mild depression, so meaning it's not that bad, but suggested that you take antidepressants, which I denied. And there's certain days where they just feel so dark, and you feel like you don't belong here. You feel like you don't want to be here, and all the things that you're doing, they're not mounting up to anything. So you're questioning your existence, you're questioning all the work that you're doing. And that is just, it's just a dark side that just wants to be acknowledged. And I need to learn to not feed into that much. So now I need to be more consistent in my healing. And how that looks like for me is journaling more, doing more yoga, more meditation, more positivity in terms of the music I listen to, the podcasts I consume, and the spaces I go to, and just being patient with myself. Excuse me, being patient with myself and realizing that it's not always going to be dark, it's not always going to be beautiful, but you just have to fight through it every day, and it's okay to cry out to people. It's okay to ask for help. I say this a lot, but it's one of the things, excuse me, it's one of the things that I really struggle with. Um, it's easier for me to offer help than to get it, which, if you think about it, doesn't quite make sense, because what are you offering that you don't have? What are you giving of yourself that you're not giving to yourself? I mean, it, when you look at it, it doesn't seem to make sense. But yes, that is what is happening in my life right now. And it feels good to share that. It feels good to be that honest and finding ways to overcome and heal through things. I have really big dreams. I have big dreams, I have big goals, and I need to heal many parts of my inner child in order for me to feel worthy of achieving those goals. And I realize this day by day that, you feel this way now because this happened to you as a kid, or you were put in this position as a child. Therefore, you carry that with you throughout your adult life. You just, you're that person that was just stuck in a corner and felt like you're not worthy of being in front, or you're not worthy of being, I don't know what. We all have our ailments, so it's important to identify and heal them. It's important to work through them. And especially if it involves someone who's somewhat still in your life, have conversations with them about it and see how you can overcome those things, um, specifically with myself and my parents and my sister, or my whole family, the five of us. I think we're in a much better place now because there's many conversations we got to have in the past few months that helped us, heal certain things that we just never spoke about. So yeah, take the chance to heal you and then heal the next person if possible. One question that I was asking myself earlier, because my friend was saying you're an empath, you empathize with people very well, but sometimes you must understand that not everyone is willing to talk through things like you do. And that is also very selective on my end, because I don't like confrontations or whatnot. So it depends how the conversation happens. And I was just wondering to myself, Helena, do you ever get tired? Does one ever get tired of being an empath? Um, do you just wake up and feel like, I don't want to understand you today. I don't want to help you today. I don't want to be patient with you today. Is that something that happens? Is that, or just a moment of weakness or fatigue, you know. I'm very curious. So if you guys have yeah have kind of dealt with something like that or have thought of something like that and you have an answer for me, please let me know, and hopefully I can also tackle it in the next coming episodes with some of my guests. But until then, thank you for joining another episode. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm getting better at this. Woo, woo, woo. Like, comment, and subscribe, and woo! Nazo. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you. I will see you on the flip side on the next episode of the Royal Global Podcast. I don't know why I said it like that, but yes. Thank you for joining in and have a beautiful weekend, day, hour, whatever. Have a beautiful time and have a beautiful life, man.